The Battery Tender Global Mazda MX-5 eSeries, brought to you by Mazda and by Rick Motec Racing Simulators.
We've seen a lot over 150 years. That doesn't mean we've seen it all.
North from Texas is America's National Park of Speed. We travel from the Circuit of the Americas and over near Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin around the city of Milwaukee. It's an hour's drive north of the beautiful city, and we head to Road America. Can you believe we're already halfway through the season? It hosts the third of 5 rounds for the Battery Tender Global Mazda MX-5 Cup eSeries, presented by BF Goodrich and Rick Motec Simulation Racing Systems. Welcome along to the coverage, whether you're joining us on Mazda Motorsports Facebook page, the YouTube channels, or even, of course, we welcome our Canadian audience from the MAV TV Motorsports Network. It's a 4-mile layout around Road America, by far the longest of the season, 6.5 kilometers depending on your units of choice. 14 masterful corners around a monster of a modern day layout. You can't beat around the bush here, as it challenges our best Mazda talent for a 40-minute race coming up. And good news, Mo Murray, it also brings us into the real world for round number 1 soon enough.
That's right, Jonathan. Elkhart Lake and Road America, it's perhaps one of my favorite racetracks in the world. It's just a wonderful place to spend a weekend racing. We're spending the next 40 minutes here virtually, but I am very happy to announce that the opening round of the Battery Tender MX-5 Cup Series, presented by BF Goodrich, the real series, when we come out of lockdown and we get to go back to racing cars, will take place here at Road America in every real sense of the word on July 24th as part of the Brian Redman Historics Weekend here at beautiful Road America. We have the rest of the schedule we'll talk about later in the broadcast, but we're very excited to be opening our season at Road America in July.
And for today's Invocation, we'll join you after this around Road America. Brilliant race coming up shortly.
Let's pray. Lord God, we're just thankful to be able to get together with this global MX-5 Cup community and do some iRacing tonight. These times just recharge us so much, reconnecting with our friends and just spending some time at the track, even if it is virtually. We ask you to be with those people tonight who, for one reason or another, are experiencing hardship and suffering, and just strengthen them and heal them as only you can do. Lord God, we ask this race be a blessing to everyone involved. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And now, our national anthem. Performing from Dallas, Texas, Russ Ruddock.
Well, good evening, folks, or good afternoon, or even good morning. We've got a multitude of viewers from throughout the world watching today's coverage around Road America. And from myself, Jonathan Simon, welcome to the coverage. You heard the voice of Mo Murray from Mazda Motorsports earlier on in our pre-race coverage. We've also got regular series commentator Tony Laporta alongside Tom Long, the test and development driver for the global Mazda MX-5 Cup car. And Tony, here we head to the longest lap of the season. Great to hear the news that we'll be back in the real world soon enough here at Elkhart Lake.
Yeah, Jonathan, it sure is great to hear that from Mo and everyone at Mazda Motorsports. I know that I'm going crazy sitting around, and I'm sure everyone who I spend time with during this extended period at home shares in that sentiment. But as Mo also said in the opening, before we went to the invocation and the opening ceremonies, Road America, my favorite racetrack that the Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup presented by BF Goodrich visits all season long. This is an incredible facility. In the pre-production meetings, Mo joked and reminded all of us that this is America's national park of speed. And to those of you who have been to Road America, you understand it. And to those of you who haven't, I feel sorry, because this track is unlike anything else anywhere else, at least in the continental United States. So whether it's in real life or virtual racing, I know our drivers in the Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup are going to put on a great show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, the thing about this track is it's extremely long, like Jonathan said. So Tom Long, you've developed this car, you've put laps in everywhere all around the country. So what I kind of want to get a feel for before we go racing is, what does this track provide as far as technical challenges that we don't really see anywhere else on the schedule?
Well, Tony, certainly there's that. You are going to see the Congo line zigzagging of the draft all around these long straightaways at Road America. Plenty of passing opportunities, not just into the big break zones at the high speed points of the track, but just down the straightaways themselves. About 5 or 6 different passing opportunities a lap. Their drivers are going to be everywhere trying to make moves and go in trains as we kind of see a rush hour. So if you speak through the big straightaways down into turn 1, 5, and into Canada Corner.
So that's part of the expectation. And we heard a lot of the drivers talk about what Tom just mentioned, which is the long draft lines and how much getting behind a big pack of cars is going to help your lap time and your speed as well. Qualifying has wrapped up already. And as we take a look, cars are firing up. They're getting ready to go. Mo, this is Road America. Johnny already hit it. It's the halfway point of the season. A tight championship battle already underway. Brian Lockwood scoring the victory last weekend. It's going to be an exciting race. Anybody you're watching for to be a threat when we get going here, Mo?
Well, it's good to see Matt Cressy and Brian Lockwood in a pretty tight battle for the championship at the front. Two young guys who have provided plenty of excitement in the real world of MX-5 Cup racing. Further down the field, Celine Roland, always a threat. Celine is 4th in points and is qualified 7th for this race. I'm really looking forward to seeing Tristan Nunez and Harry Tinknell and their teammate Ollie Jarvis, who come from Mazda's IMSA prototype program. Tristan and Harry got into a good race last week, crossed the line together, and I talked to both of them. They were both a little disappointed that they basically need more practice with the sim and with this particular car. They're not used to driving an MX-5 Cup car. So I'm looking for Tristan and Harry to have, my guess is they've spent plenty of seat time this week trying to get up to speed. This is a track they know very, very well. Harry actually won the IMSA prototype race here last summer. And so I'm looking for those guys to get further up the field than they have.
Oh, so
here we go, getting ready to fire things off here. It is round 3 of the 2020 series for the Battery Tender Global MX-5 Cup here virtually. Johnny, I don't think you've had the fortune of head to Road America. You talked about how this is the longest pace lap in the series we're going to have all year long. This is a really cool race, and as Mo hit on, the championship battle already heating up. Halfway through it, though, you really can't be sure of anything.
No, definitely can't around here with Brian Lockwood in prime position from pole position to hopefully lead this race and continue on here and claim another $110 worth of prize money. Matt Cressy in second. Of course, he is leading the championship after a round 1 victory and a brilliant podium come the Circuit of the Americas. Got a few more corners to go, TLP here, but the thing I'm most looking forward to is the draft effect around here. It's probably one of the biggest effects at a racetrack we have on the schedule. We could see someone unexpected take victory today, because even if you're 1 second slower on lap time, you could stay up there with the leaders just based on the draft.
Absolutely, Johnny. You are completely right. And we've seen real life races end exactly how you're talking about. Somebody that wasn't exactly unexpected, but wasn't leading at the white flag, wasn't even leading with half a lap to go. And that's the crazy part of Road America at over 4 miles long and 14 very different corners. We've seen guys pull out of the draft coming up the hill on that very last corner. Turn 14 is a fast right-hander that leads you up the hill all the way to the start-finish line. And it is a long run up that hill. And as Tom will tell you from developing this car, keeping your momentum, keeping your RPM up in these MX-5 cars is critical. The field looks like they're packed up, paired up, making their way through the final corners. It is finally time to go racing here at Road America.
Tony, you're exactly right. If you recall, 2 years ago, Patrick Gallagher won a race here in these cars, but he was 5th going into the last corner, and he used the draft of those 4 guys in front of him to pull himself up the hill, and he won by basically a couple of tenths of a second.
And here we go now, 40 minutes of racing action coming up as usual. Can't wait to get round number 3 sorted. There's Lockwood on the left-hand side of the screen alongside Matt Cresci in the 59. Here we go now from Road America. We're going to have over 30 MX-5s screaming to turn number 1 for the first time tonight.
You're exactly right, Johnny. The field stays 2 by 2. It feels like forever down this huge, long front straightaway. They're trying to sort themselves out right now. McAleer and Lockwood going toe-to-toe down into a very flat but a very fast corner number 1 that leads itself into a lot of runoff area over on the the left-hand side, but they make their way underneath that Briggs and Stratton Bridge. They'll head for turn number 3, and they'll make the corner, and it looks like last week winner Brian Lockwood is going to sort himself out in the front. McAleer's going to fall into second, and best news for Gresham Wagner, who we remember had that engine failure right at this point of the race last week, right after the green flag. He's solidly in P3 right now as they head down towards turn number 5.
Boy, I tell you, Tony, Stephen McAleer got a great start. I don't know if you saw that, but he was able to really get a good move around the outside. And here he goes, taking the lead into turn 5. This is going to be really interesting to see if they can just get in line and get pulling away, or if they're just going to be scrapping all race long and causing big bottlenecks. And that's going to really keep the field packed throughout the 40 minutes.
Well, I think we already know the answer, at least the most likely answer, Tom, and with that draft pack being such a big part of the racing here at Road America, I don't think we're going to see anybody really break away right now. The field out of 6, now rolling through 7. They're going to set up for that long right-handed carousel here in just a moment. And I think what we've got right now is, well, heck, already they seem to see a little bit of gap between Brian Lockwood, McAleer, the rest of the field. Gresham Wagner didn't have the best corner number 5. He has slipped out of that 3rd position down to about 5th, it looks like right now, yeah. But I think you're going to see these guys stay grouped up for quite a while as they make their way towards the back straightaway.
Great to see the real-life teams of MX-5 Cup getting involved here. Brian Lockwood, of course, races for Six Sideways, the team out of Sebring, Florida. Stephen McAleer is an owner of McCumbee McAleer Racing, along with Chad McCumbee. He's here in 2nd place, but the car in 4th place, another McCumbee McAleer car. That's a former winner here, Patrick Gallagher, former champion, actually, of the series, and a winner here at Road America in that 2nd McCumbee McAleer car. These are both Patrick and Stephen are wily veterans of this car and this type of racing, and they're up against 2 relatively inexperienced young guys in Lockwood and Cresci, but the 4 of them seem to be making a little bit of a break as we end this first lap around this massive 4-mile racetrack.
All right, it looks like Gresham Wagner is going to have a little bit of a challenge for that 5th position, as that looks like the 21 of Harry Voigt, and I want to say Tyler Maxson running nose to tail up out of corner number 14 down the front straightaway. Gresham Wagner's right behind his Six Sideways teammate Celine Roland, the reigning Rookie of the Year. We'll see what Maxson and Harry Voigt can do. Not enough momentum to make the pass by turn number 1. And that first corner, whoa, a little bit of trouble here in that flat first turn. That looks to be the number 9 getting off a little bit, doing some dirt track, and Justin Piscatel. Tom, that's not the preferred line for corner number 1, I believe.
No, it's not, but he was able to hold it together and get it going again through the sand here. That's one of the nice things about Road America is that you do have a lot of runoff as we see him head down to turn 5 and a change for the lead. Another big runoff area into turn 5 with these high-speed brake zones. Let's see if Steven can get the pass done. It's clean. Let's see if Crushy's going to come with him here. This will be interesting. The next corner. Okay, he keeps him in line.
How about?
I'll tell you what, turn 5 is so realistic, Johnny, of what happens here at Road America. You've got that long run down from turn 3, hard braking left-hander, and you got to nail it because if your exit is not good at all, that run up the hill to turn 6 is not going to work for you. But 5 continues to be a prime passing opportunity here.
How about Tyler Maxson in the Copeland Motorsports MX-5? He passed 2 cars on the run down through the Moraine sweep. They've decided to produce a new part of the racetrack there. There's no tarmac on the outside, guys, as they run deep and head into the carousel here. We ride on board with our leader, Stephen McAleer, and he's right ahead of Brian Lockwood, who's one of the best sim racers in the world. We know he races in the Porsche Esports Super Cup, which is one of the premier racing series right now in the sim racing universe. And here is the 6 sideways driver. Would you go for a move, though, Tom Long, heading into Canada Corner? I'd be content sitting in the draft.
That's exactly it. I think especially this early in the race, as we see a little bit of the pack racing that Tyler Maxson was able to do, he's up 7 positions from the start. If you can hook up with just a couple of cars, you can actually start to pull away from the pack. You can't do it by yourself, but if these guys are smart and they group together, they'll be able to do it.
I'll tell you what, Tom, Johnny brings up a great point, and that's talking about sitting behind in the draft, heading down that back straightaway, heading into Canada Corner as we ride on board right here with last week's winner, Brian Lockwood. And even on iRacing, the feel you get of heading up that hill is incredibly accurate. Now Lockwood pulls out of the draft down the front straightaway. They go side by side for a minute. McAleer disappears, but he comes right back there, door handle to door handle, as these MX-5s race towards that flat, fast turn number 1, the right-hander. Lockwood's going to have the preferred line, and he's able to hold off McAleer back to the front, but he's got to work on keeping that back end planted and not sliding too much through the corner. A little bit of jockeying for position farther on back as we keep an eye on a few drivers. But Tom, I want to get your opinion quickly. I was once told that Canada Corner is named that for the fact that if you mess that corner up and you miss your braking point, you end up in Canada. Is there any truth to that rumor as a guy who's had a lot of laps around this track?
Yeah, it's a daunting place. You know, you come through a beautiful canopy of trees at a very high rate of speed, and unfortunately have seen a lot of things go wrong for many folks there. And yeah, it does end abruptly before you get to Canada in that tire wall there. So I tell you, the one thing you're going to be seeing here as they're mixing it up is just a lot of impatience. Typically, the race is not like this in the real life. I think everybody feels like they deserve to be up front and they want to be making the moves. But the big difference tonight is I know we are on fixed setups, but any driver that does have a spotter actually voicing to them and telling them where the cars are, I think that might make a big difference tonight. We see a lot of movement here, left to right, in and out.
Well, and not just left to right movement, there's movement forward too. As those 4, a lap ago we talked about those 4 making a little bit of a break, but they started getting racy with each other. And as we all know, as you know well, Tom, that's the slow way around. Once you get side by side, the draft becomes very big. And Celine Roland, one of the stars of this series, was able to use that draft. He connected with Harry Voigt, and they both of them pulled up against the back of the leading 4. And Celine is now past Matt Cressy, and he's into 4th place. And here we go again, side by side down into Canada Corner. And Celine is going to use that big hole in the air that Gallagher and Brian Lockwood are making and pull up behind these guys. And he could be a threat here very quickly.
I'll tell you what, this is a great rebound race for Patrick Gallagher, who ran strong in Texas, didn't have the best luck in Alabama, but boy, he is out there with his teammate McAleer right now. And it looks like a note from race control, driver number 31, Brooks Leal, is going to get a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility as the lead pack is stacked up now at least 10 cars deep. Stephen McAleer brings the field all the way up. He runs a pretty defensive line, it looks like, Tom, as he's going to try to snake around and break the draft a little bit, but Brian Lockwood is glued right to him. And now it's the former champion Patrick Gallagher who wants to go around the outside, but as Mo said, that's not not going to work, at least not in turn one. That's the slow way around this racetrack, and he's going to try to fight Lockwood for second position. Wow, he makes me look like I don't know what I'm talking about, because he's going to try to make that pass stick as they head down to turn number 3.
And that's the Congo line we were talking about, the zigzagging down the straightaway. Obviously, the inside line is not preferred down the middle of the straightaway, but that's just where everybody follows the car ahead. We are seeing it being really aggressive. Celine putting a door on Brian as he comes out of turn 1. And now you can kind of see that into 5. It's going to be interesting as they approach 2 wide here.
And folks, in our pre-show meeting, we were talking about this racetrack, and as you can guess from the way the iRacing platform works, we are situated in different parts of the world. And Jonathan Simone is calling this race from Australia, and he asked about the Sargento Cheese Bridge. What's the significance of that? And this racetrack is absolutely not for the faint of heart or the lactose intolerant, because it really takes the best drivers in the world to be fast around here, and it's surrounded by some of the best cheesemakers in the country.
Not only cheesemakers, but a great bratwurst factory, I heard too. So here the drivers head into the carousel. What a cracking race this is. You got Lockwood, Gallagher ready to go. Celine Roland's up there as well. He's always quick, real or virtual. Matt Cresci down to 5th. How about Tyler Maxson, though, up 8 spots and into 6th in this race so far. He's the second biggest mover and shaker behind Brooks Leal, who's all the way down in 26th. So for Brooks, who started the race last, there isn't much else to show for it for the moment. So Maxson on the left-hand side making a move on Cresci. We got 2x2 alongside each other, your front 2 rows here. And they're still deciding, TLP, who's going to end up where in the first position. McAleer remains in the lead. Remember, no pit stops required. So there isn't a necessity for fuel saving, but there is a necessity, I just butchered that word, there is a necessity for track position too.
Well, there's a necessity for track position and also keeping your BF Goodrich tires underneath you. And Tom's going to talk about that in a little while, whether it's real world or virtual. You know, these BF Goodrich tires stand up to a lot of abuse, but for 40 minutes, there's only so much they can take. And as you talked about 2x2, your front row, well, to make things even more interesting, those are teammates right there from Acumbi McAleer Racing. Stephen McAleer and former series champion Patrick Gallagher go door handle to door handle down into turn number 1. And Brian Lockwood is just sitting back there watching all this, as is Celine Roland, Tyler Maxson, Matt Cresci, Glenn McGee, and don't count out Harry Foyt in that number 21. He's been sliding that back end around a little bit, trying to keep things underneath him. But Patrick Gallagher up 3 spots from where he started this race, currently runs in 2nd. Now this is where I want to watch. This is the prime passing opportunity. It looks like Lockwood's going to try to pull out. The track bends to the right just a little bit here before you get to the left-hander, turn number 5. As McAleer leads, Lockwood's trying to make something happen, but McAleer's going to have support from his teammate, Patrick Gallagher. I don't know if Lockwood's going to be able to make anything happen here. He sure is going to try, though, as he hangs tight on the outside. They run just a little bit wide on the exit of 5 and out up the hill, and that's going to open the door for Patrick Gallagher to get around his teammate and team owner, new race leader, Patrick Gallagher, up in front.
And Tony, that's exactly what good teamwork is all about. You saw them going into turn 1. Patrick left Steven a window to turn down into the corner, rather than if he was a fierce competitor, he might have tried to hold him honest around the outside. But that's the give and take that you have and the advantage you have with teammates. And we see how they were able to get shuffled apart, and now it's going to be climbing back together, hopefully, as they come through now the carousel, which is one of the most unique corners on this racetrack. It is a 270-degree bend that just keeps going down, 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 all the way to the kink, which is a very, very high-speed, high-commitment corner.
Well, it's incredible, just one corner of action right there. And McAleer goes from leading this race all the way down to 4th, and while that doesn't sound like a big difference, around a track like Road America, it's a pretty big drop. Now it's the 87 of Celine Roland staying in line. He wanted to take a look and try to make something happen with the leader, but Tom, as you talked about, when Johnny asked, what do you do? Do you go to the inside here and can the corner, or do you stay in line? Celine Roland did what he should. He bides his time. He stays in line. There's still a lot of racing to go here, certainly, as the field comes up over the crest out of 13. They'll make the right-hander through 14, and another lap in the books will come to an end here. And I'll tell you what, guys, Patrick Gallagher looks pretty smooth right now.
Remember the opening race, Stephen McAleer got caught out in that big accident on the first lap at Barber, and he left the Barber round with just 1 point. He scored 17 points last week when we raced at Coda. So he's quite a ways down in the points. He's in 12th in points at the moment. And Stephen has been racing pretty much everything that iRacing will allow him to race, and he's even been testing some real cars in this downtime. And he's a guy who races all the time. As a team owner in the series, the schedule is very important to him, where we race and where we go to race, because it's his business, and he's a mentor to a lot of these young drivers. He develops drivers out of karting as a coach. And if we talk about schedule, we mentioned the opener will be here at Road America in July. Then we will go to Mid-Ohio August 9th, Portland September 13th, Laguna Seca, WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca September 20th. All those three with IndyCar. Then we come back to Mid-Ohio for an IMSA race. We run with IMSA September 27th. But the really big news is the MX5 Cup season, the Battery Tender MX5 Cup season, will close on the streets of St. Petersburg October 25th, around the streets in conjunction with IndyCar. And these cars with high curves and walls and street racing are absolutely spectacular. So this looks like it could be a very exciting season.
I agree with you very much, Mo. COVID has changed a lot of things, but one thing it hasn't changed is how exciting MX5 Cup racing will be. Tyler Maxson has taken away the top spot. He is your leader now, which I believe means that he has gained 12 positions over the course of this race. That is a pretty big move and shake, I guess you would say, for our race leader, Tyler Maxson. Johnny, this kid's getting it done, and don't forget, he's one of, if not the youngest driver in our field right now.
And we just showed the replay, and Pat Gallagher's slotted his way back into P number 1. Lockwood's having a peek here at Celine Roland, heading to Canada corner. And Maxson to the inside at Canada. Lockwood will remain behind. Roland's also going to shove his way past. The advantage swings to Maxson. It swings to Roland. There's your first and second positions changing for the moment. And here we ride on board with Roland. I think he's alongside Pat Gallagher, because he either that or he's missed the apex by a country mile. And they'll have to form up through the final corner. You know, I told Tyler pre-broadcast, we were chatting, and I said to him, 100% guaranteed today, Tyler. You're going to win the race. You're going to win $110. I wasn't joking, and I'm not joking right now, TLP.
No, absolutely not. And Johnny, if you're that good at predicting the future, I would love to have you take a look at my Tinder, because it would really help me out a lot. But I'll tell you what, right now, we're not worried about that. We're worried about Celine Roland trying to do a little bit of two-step right here on the young man, Tyler Maxson, and he doesn't even wait for the turning point. Celine Roland throws it out in front. The driver from Orlando, Florida now shows the way. But as we've seen year after year when we head to the real-life Road America, leading around here doesn't mean a lot. The only time it matters if you lead at Road America, or really for that matter at any point of an MX5 Cup race, is coming out of that final corner, the checkered flag. Celine Roland out in front right now. It looks like Tyler Maxson back in second. Series champion Patrick Gallagher is in third, and that's a 10-car plus train that we've got coming out of 3, down the hill for 4. Looks like Gallagher wants to try to make something happen here as they get on the brakes in 5. Roland's way down low trying to defend. Harry Voigt having to fend off some competition right behind him as well, as that looks like Carter and Andrew List are giving him a run. But Celine Roland survives turn number 5, leads them back up the hill. He continues to lead here as we near the halfway point at Road America.
And you can just see the difference in velocity as these cars draft by each other. Celine rocketed by into one, didn't even need to outbrake anybody. He had so much momentum. So really taking a good advantage of the draft. Amazing to see the amount of movement and shaking. I mean, if you take a snapshot of the field in turn 8 compared to the front straightaway, it's a completely different order. So we are on the edge of our seats here as we have plenty of racing left to go.
And I see Celine out front. This is a driver who's taken full advantage of Mazda's scholarship program, several different scholarships. He won the Mazda Club Racer Shootout to earn his first season in MX5 Cup. He parlayed that in 2018 into winning Rookie of the Year with a couple of race wins. He took the Rookie of the Year prize from Mazda and funded his second season, last season, 2019, and went into the last round as a championship contender. When we get back to real racing, just as he is here, he's going to be right at the front and has absolutely leverage those Mazda scholarships in a very positive way. Patrick Gallagher is also a former scholarship winner, as are several other drivers in this field.
And what a cracking race this is, as we discussed, and it's only going to continue in the second half of this event here. We're not even halfway through, and this has by far been the greatest race of the campaign. Join us after this. It's Tyler Maxson leading. No, excuse me, Celine Roland leading from Tyler Maxson. We don't know who's going to lead on the other side of this, though.
These days, the events we love will have to wait. Not forever, just for now. But as an essential service, we're open and ready to help. Especially healthcare heroes. We'll do an enhanced cleaning of your car inside and out, and change the oil for free, even if you don't drive a Mazda. It's the least we can do.
Everybody yearns for something. Few have the drive to reach out and take it. We build for those with the conviction to stand up straight and demand what they want out of life. We champion those who refuse to see the world as it is, but what it could be. We know what we're building for. What are you building for?
Well, it was only bound to happen, didn't it? 20 minutes into the event, and we've unfortunately had a collision for the lead here. As we welcome you back to Road America, drama during the ad break as our leaders headed into the Marine Sweep and down into Turn 5 one more time. And have a look at this TLP. Maxson involved, Pat Gallagher, Brian Lockwood's been turned around. This was utter carnage halfway through the race.
Yeah, that is something that is honestly so, honestly, I want to say so rare, but I've never even seen an incident like that in 3 years of calling battery temperature Global MX5 Cup racing. And genuinely, I do think it's only because we're on a virtual platform right now, and there's, you know, the lack of injury present in everyone's mind. You know, you never see that kind of racing, and I don't think it was any ill intent on anybody's part, just trying to make something happen a little early in the race. But boy, you know, Mo, in all our years doing this together, virtual or real, I've never seen an incident like that anywhere in the field, let alone the very front.
Well, these cars are all absolutely identical in the real world, and as Tom had mentioned, this is a fixed setup race in iRacing, so the difference comes from the driving, and these guys are all very, very competitive, as we can see there, as the leaders go charging through. While that was a big mess down into Turn 5, the guy who seems to have got away with it the best is Max. He's back there in 6th position right now. He could have been much, much further back. Lockwood is back in 19th, and Patrick Gallagher's back in 16th. They were the other two cars caught up on that. Only halfway through the race. If Maxim doesn't have any damage on the car, then he can use the draft and get back up to the front, as Celine is defending heavily now from Voigt and McAleer. Michael Carter is there too, and Andrew List, as they go 4-5 in a group into Turn 5.
I'll tell you what, Mo, yeah, you talk about Harry Voigt and the rest of the drivers that survived through that incident. Voigt does find himself sitting pretty here as they come uphill out of 5 underneath the Corvette bridge. We got to give a shout out to one of our series regular drivers that is not competing in the iRacing tonight, but is watching back at home. He's everyone's favorite child actor. Some call him an aspiring male model. I just say he's my favorite little person. It's Drake Kemper, who's tuning in right now and texting me, letting me know that we need to remind people that leading at Road America is pretty temperamental, because, Mo, as you'll remember, Drake dominated the pair of races in the Alana Long 100 last year at Road America, the doubleheader, and despite dominating that race, he actually did not lead across the start-finish line to win either one of them. That's not a stat I wanted to bring up. That's a stat Drake urged I bring up. So, Tom, that just goes to show that leading at Road America is good, but leading at the finish line is even better.
And as we're talking about the leaders, someone has snuck up into the top 10 worth mentioning. Mr. Nunez here in 8th place has been able to take advantage of some of the excitement in turn 5 as we see him crisscrossing down into Canada Corner. Pretty good run he has going here in the top 10. We'll see what he can make of it.
I might have to see if we can promote him to MX5 Cup from his current prototype. See how many feel about that.
I don't know, Mo. That's a tall order, but that is a tall order.
Tony, I do have a question when you're texting back with Drake. Why is he not in a car? Why is he not part of this series? There's plenty of his MX5 Cup compadres are out here, and we'd love to see him join us next week.
It's a simple answer. It's a simple answer, Mo. Would you like to know the real answer?
Yeah.
He said he can't see over the steering wheel.
I thought it was going to be because they don't have chrome on the paint schemes, which
That's pretty good. Drake's been known to rock the Lemons of Love livery on his MX5 Cup car with a not very small dose of chrome vinyl wrap to those cars. So, Johnny, that's one part of this virtual racing world that is not as fun or enjoyable as the real life thing, because our boy Drake Kemper, who has a flair for the most expensive sunglasses you've ever seen, they'd make you blush. He also has very chrome looking race cars.
Let's take a look here. Unfortunately, while all that was going on, Tristan Nunez has seemed to have some kind of a problem and is headed for the pits. He's fallen way back down the order. This is a he got hit from behind and into the wall. That's a big one.
Oh man, that looked like
Lost
Mr.
the hood of the car, so Tristan's great drive in the first half of this race has come to naught. Tony, you mentioned Lemons of Love. Let's give them a shout out here quickly. Lemons of Love is a charity that the MX5 Cup paddock has sort of adopted. It's a charity that supports people going through cancer treatment, families and patients going through cancer treatment with care packets. And one of their fundraising methods, their biggest one, is each year they buy one of these MX5 Cup cars from Fliss Performance, the company who builds them, and they raffle it. And a couple of years ago, Drake Kemper won that car and is racing it. Raced it all last year. Initially raced it as an ND1 and then converted it to ND2 status with the higher horsepower engine, and we'll race it again this year. So Lemons of Love, a great charity who we all love having around, giving people a chance to win one of these race cars, not a virtual one, but real one.
I would explain it, Mo, but you just did a phenomenal job of explaining what Lemons of Love is and who they are. And Jill and Marin Jill is in Illinois, and Miss Marin Page actually lives in Wisconsin, the state where we're racing virtually right now. And both those women do a great job taking care of that charity and handing out race cars to people like Drake Kemper and Danny Bender's father. Danny, also a longtime competitor in the MX5 Cup. Meanwhile, while all this has been going on, we have had a change for the lead. Sounds like contact, Johnny, perhaps over in turn 5, that's seen Celine Roland fall out of the point position, and now Harry Voigt, the driver out of Colorado, now showing the way.
Yeah, it certainly is. So there's also an incident under review. You can see at the bottom of the screen between Tyler Maxson and the 29 car as well of Pat Gallagher. So that was the one from earlier on. Celine Roland and Stephen McAleer made some contact at turn number 5. And there's a drive-through penalty for car 23, Glenn McGee, who was once our leader after, in what MX5 racing terms was the big one. And he's now fallen down to 10th. We'll have to also serve a drive-through penalty. Issues for our virtual to reality driver. What a race this has been. We saw Andrew List fall down the order to 13th as well. The battle for the lead continues. When do we stop, TLP? Here's a replay. We're not going to stop because there's probably something else going on here. I think this might be List, though, and this is how he was turned around.
Yeah, this is a live look at Andrew List and Tyler Maxson getting together. Maxson just trying to make something happen at the top of the hill after turn number 6. And Andrew List didn't want to give up the real estate. And we've seen incidents like that in MX5 Cup a ton. And there was a spin in the background there as well. So the action never stops here in MX5 Cup racing, Johnny.
My goodness. So I don't know where to begin, where to end. We're just trying to sprout out so much at the moment. There is just over 10 minutes remaining, though. And so at the moment, the lead battle's shaped down to Harry Voigt from Stephen McAleer, from Michael Carter, and Celine Roland. Tyler Maxson's in there, but I can see him potentially serving a penalty if the race stewards determine he's at fault for anything. So we once had a 10-car train about 15 minutes ago. It's dissipated down to 4. There's 4 drivers in contention for the win, and you don't know who to pick out of the 4 either.
No.
Yeah,
go ahead, Tom.
Johnny, to close the loop on the Glenn McGee penalty, we saw the big crash going into turn 3 for Tristan Nunez that took him out of the running. Glenn McGee was the car behind him who tapped him into that spin, and that's why he got the drive through penalty.
And if you're looking for which cars are running up front, usually they're the clean ones at the end of the race. Harry Voigt's done a great job of keeping his machine under the radar and up front. Michael Carter, we haven't talked too much about, but is running third. He looks like he's had some excitement there on the left front in his car, but this will be interesting to see if any of this damage does have an aerodynamic effect in iRacing as they come with just about 10 minutes to go.
And Tony, we talked about this last week. Look who's right behind Michael Carter. Celine Roland and Michael Carter sharing the same piece of real estate again. They spent almost every race last year door handle to door handle, pushed each other around, made sure they were aware of each other, and tempers flared a couple of times during the year between these two. And here they find themselves nose to tail again as they go chase down the leaders of this race.
I like how you put that, Mother. They made sure that the other one was aware of them throughout all of last season. That's a great way to put it as we keep an eye on this lead pack right here making their way down through turn 4 now, getting ready for that quick left-hander turn number 5. Harry Voigt finding himself in a position he never has in the real world, leading an MX-5 Cup race, but it might not be for long, as now it's going to be McAleer down to the inside in turn number 5. McAleer gets to the spot, and he tries to bring Carter along with him. It's not able to be a 2-position swing, so Voigt goes from P1 back a spot. They're rolling up on lap traffic right here. This is the 08 of Michael Carter back 1 position, Celine Roland and Tyler Maxson. Johnny, my only question for you is, you say that you talked to Tyler Maxson before this began and told him with 100% certainty he was going to win, as the leaders do a great job getting around the lap traffic. Do you feel guilty for putting any kind of announcer's curse on the young man?
No, for fun and to not sound like a jerk, yeah, I do. But I don't believe in commentary curses. Stuff that. Throw it out the window. It's and just as you said that, Tony, he received a drive-through penalty. I'm not kidding. On race control, it's just popped up on screen. So for Tyler Maxson, this will be the last we see of him in this lead group, and there it is, confirmed on screen. The 74, the young man from Copeland Motorsports, will have to drive through the pit lane. Mo Murray, what do you think about Tyler Maxson's penalty? Well deserved or not?
I'm certainly not in the habit of questioning race control, but that was the second incident he'd been involved in. So I will defer to race control on their call for that. As we have about 10 minutes left in this race, and we've already talked about the real world battery temper MX-5 Cup cars coming back to racing in July here. I just want to talk about the cars a little bit. So I mentioned ND1 and ND2 in an earlier comment. These cars that we race here are what we call ND2. They're the 2019 and later MX-5 car. They're based on that. They have 181 horsepower. The cars come straight from the factory in Japan to the US and are sent to Fliss Performance in Florida, where they're converted into these MX-5 Cup cars. They get about 250 parts taken off and about 250 race parts put on. Fully FIA certified cage and belts and safety equipment. The engines are sealed. They're not modified in any way, so they have the same horsepower as the production car. But new for 2020, once we do go back racing, they will have a sequential SATEV gearbox. And that will improve lap times, it will improve costs for the drivers, and it certainly makes it more like a race car. You then have a sequential gearbox, no lift gearbox. Tom Long has done a lot of testing with that gearbox. And that's really going to enhance the racing when we get back to real racing in July.
And Mo, I can tell you, with that SATEV gearbox, it is a blast to drive. foot flat to the floor, pulling gears. It actually will auto blip on the downshifts for you with the Bosch ECU engine management system. So these drivers will have even more time to focus on the racing at hand, and it's going to really add a nuance to this amazing battery tender Global MX5 Cup Series.
And the thing that's incredible about this race car is, the world has really come to know iRacing and sim racing over these last couple of months when we didn't have any choice but to do that. And there are sim rigs out there when you get the motion and the seats and the chassis and the good steering wheels and all that kind of stuff. People are spending, you can spend $30,000 or $40,000 on a sim rig to go sim racing. One of these cars costs just about twice that, a little more than twice that, about $80,000. Maybe a little more with the new gearbox. And you could go racing in a championship that pays you $200,000 if you win the championship. So we say it's the best value in motorsports, and certainly the economics of it make it seem that way. And they're every bit as entertaining as we're seeing here in this sim racing version here in iRacing. iRacing worked very closely with you, Tom, and your family's business to develop this model inside of iRacing when the car was launched first, and does a great job of replicating what we see in the world.
Well, you're exactly right, Mo. And to that point, if you look at what everything basically takes from the talent levels coming into the first year as a rookie in this series, it's a big ask to win a championship. And that's what's so exciting that Mazda does, is they actually pay out a very large Rookie of the Year points payout and scholarship, so that way you can come run again the next year. It's a big ask to come win as a rookie, but if you can win as Rookie of the Year, you get another chance to do it again to win the big scholarship money.
Exactly as Celine Laurent did.
Focusing back now on that fight between Gresham Wagner and Matt Cresci, Robert Nowaker, all involved as they fight to stay right up inside the top 5. Riding on board now with the number 5 of Gresham Wagner right behind Matt Cresci. They fly down the chute into turn number 4 before setting up for that left-hander. Turn number 5, hard on the brakes. They will downshift all the way through the gearbox to get ready to hit that apex, unwind the steering wheel, and make their way back up the run. Now, Tom, as they head for the kink, I don't know if it's any less scary in a virtual race car than it is in a real one, but the camera angle we've been seeing as these guys fly through the kink, a couple drivers, Harry Voigt's been one of them. He seems to have just been struggling with rear grip all race long from what I've seen, but how tough is it to keep that car? Do you go through the kink flat out in an MX-5 Cup car?
Well, Tony, it is a pucker factor no matter the car you're in. In this Global MX-5 Cup car, it is flat out if you are brave enough to do so. The big thing is not only just to turn the car in without lifting off the gas, maybe it takes the left foot, cover the right to hold it down, that throttle pedal that is, but to manage what goes on at the exit. You can see the drivers carrying the rear over the exit curb here, and it makes for a very interesting run down to Canada Corner. If you get it wrong and you can still keep it on the track, you'll lose a lot of momentum, and then you're looking at cars coming around you for Canada.
Gresham Wagner doing exactly what Tom just said, carrying as much speed through that fast right-handed kink as possible. Now he nails the early apex through Canada Corner, saws on that steering wheel, a little bit of dust flying up just ahead of him. Celine Roland, your leader, McAleer in second, Harry Voigt third, Michael Carter in fourth, Matt Cresci rounds out the top 5. Gresham Wagner a little squirrely all over the place, trying to keep that MX-5 Cup car from 6 sideways performance planted right underneath him. The pack makes their way up the hill to complete another lap. We should be seeing 2 to go this time, Johnny.
Certainly will. Now, Brian Lockwood, importantly at the bottom of the screen, has received a drive-through penalty. The championship has all of a sudden turned upside down for a few of our front runners. Lockwood not in prime position this race. Matt Cresci in 5th will extend his championship lead coming into this round. Glenn McGee nowhere to be seen. Celine Rolando will creep in towards Cresci, and at the moment will be second in the championship, leaving this round. How about Michael Carter, though, in 4th? He's also faring very well. This will unofficially be the penultimate lap of the race. Next time by will be the white flag, almost certainly. And the race between Roland, McAleer, Harry Voigt, Michael Carter, Matt Cresci's in there too. Don't forget Gresham Wagner. 6 drivers fighting for a victory, and so far it's still Roland trying to defend from everybody else behind, but time is dwindling down, Mo Murray, come the end of this race.
Absolutely, and as we mentioned in the show opening, we don't know who's going to win this race until they come off of the last corner, because these cars and this racetrack lends itself to passing using the draft, climbing up that hill. These guys are all close enough to use that draft at several points around this racetrack. So Celine is going to do everything he can to hold on, but I'm not sure that sitting in the first place is the right place to be, especially with a veteran competitor, somebody who really knows these cars well, in Stephen McAleer sitting on his tail.
Mo, I completely agree with you, and I think a lot of different drivers would tell you that being in the top spot as a ton of dirt gets kicked up right there on the exit of the carousel, being in the front spot on the last lap certainly is not a good idea. I think being in the front spot coming in to that right-hander corner number 14 for the final time, that's definitely not where you want to be. Now, Celine Roland, on the other hand, he's going to go ahead and take his chances here as he brings them down as they stack up too wide right behind him. He's going to probably elect to stay out in front because he likes the view from up there right now. But as we were talking earlier, and Mo just said, you know, you never know how things are going to sort out. I'm reminded of IMSA Radio's John Hindhoff, who once said after a race, to keep an eye on everything here at Road America, you'd need, I think he said, 2 heads and 3 sets of eyes. And that feels like a typical MX5 Cup race. As Roland leads him up the hill, he's going to see the white flag flying this time by. We're right on board with Harry Voigt in the number 21. He's right up the tailpipe of Michael Carter, who's behind McAleer. That's the front 4. Now Carter pulls out. He's going to get a little bit of a draft help from Voigt to try to get around McAleer. They're able to bump each other past the 6 sideways, the McCumbee-McAleer car in second, but McAleer keeps his foot in it and throws it right back into the gap between first place Celine Roland and third place Michael Carter. Final lap here, guys. They get on the brakes for turn 3, and turn 5, I think, is where we're going to see some action.
And Tony, we've seen Celine do an excellent job on the back half of this track. Basically from turn 5 through the carousel is a big handling section of this circuit. If he can run away enough, he might have enough of a gap. If not, he's going to need to get really savvy and bring out his Talladega skills as we get down to the final corners, because they're going to be popping left, right, and center to try to get around him.
Absolutely. Roland does a good job through 5 of hitting that apex and swinging out wide to cut off anybody's chance to try to get around him. But McAleer's going to shove him all the way through turn 6, but it's actually going to be the 08 of Carter as Roland is dirt tracking it at the top of the hill. On the exit, they make their way for the carousel now. That's where they head. Harry Voigt still looks like he's in 4th, McAleer in 3rd. Matt Cressy rounds out your top 5. It's become a 2-car race, and as Mo Murray said, all season last year on the real racetrack, it was these 2, Roland and Michael Carter, who found each other. They roll through the carousel for the final time, and just as Tom Long said, Roland seems to keep his car planted so much better through that long, fast section. Carter definitely loses a little bit of time to him there.
And Tom mentioned the scholarship situation with your 2 guys here in front with Roland and Carter. You have your 17 and 18 Mazda Club Racing Scholarship winners and your 18 and 19 Rookies of the Year for the Battery Tender MX5 Cup Series. So absolutely down to the wire. These guys earn every lap they put in on this racetrack.
So now they head into the Canada corner for the final time. Celine Roland has only 3 corners left to go. Johnny, get ready as they head to you in the final corner. Roland's got a pack of 5 very hungry racers behind him, but I think he's looking good with only 1 corner left to go here at Road America.
And Stevie McAleer looks hungry as well into the final corner. This is never going to end well. Contact as McAleer's all off into the gravel trap. He's going to lose an immense amount of positions, but the win is going to officially head to Celine Roland. What a thriller from Road America. And he's $110 richer. And a drag race to the line by Carter and Voigt ends with Carter ahead in 2nd. Voigt in 3rd rounds out the podium. You can see the unofficial results on the left-hand side of screen. Those are how your drivers cross the line. How about this? Almost 3 abreast as they came across the start-finish line. What a race. Let me tell you something. We've got a post-race chat on our hands coming up after this. It's Celine Roland, the victor. We'll chat to him on the other side of this ad break. Don't leave us.
Everybody yearns for something. Few have the drive to reach out and take it. We build for those with the conviction to stand up straight and demand what they want out of life. We champion those who refuse to see the world as it is, but what it could be. We know what we're building for. What are you building for?
These days, the events we love will have to wait. Not forever, just for now. But as an essential service, we're open and ready to help. Especially healthcare heroes. We'll do an enhanced cleaning of your car inside and out. And change the oil for free, even if you don't drive a Mazda. It's the least we can do.
Oh man, we'll have a breather somehow, but the driver's on their cool-down lap. What an incredible finish here at Road America. It'll be Celine Roland, the victor. We're going to chat to him in a moment's time. Tony Laporta, what do we have to say about that finish? Man, Celine back to P number 1, back to where he's used to.
Man, that's typical MX5 Cup racing, Johnny, honestly. That stuff is exactly what we are used to seeing at real-world IndyCar race weekends for the last couple of years. As long as Anderson Promotions and IndyCar have been promoting and sanctioning these races and putting them on as a support series during IndyCar weekends, boy, it has always been super close, super exciting racing. I'm just glad that you're getting a chance to experience some of this. It's a pretty good time. Whenever you see MX5 Cup cars on track, they never disappoint.
So just quickly, gents, and I'm not adding in the points for the pole or the most laps led, but those points are yet to come. But Matt Cresci now has 66 points to Celine Roland's 63 points. Harry Voigt is a further 10 back on 53. And Michael Carter, who got second, he would be on 58 points. So it's a pretty tight battle up front for championship.
So here are the results on screen. Celine Roland, the victor, as you can see. And we're going to chat to our winner at the moment, who won this race by half a second. What a race, Celine. I tell you something, man. A cracker of a race. You somehow found your way to the top, and you would have been breathing a sigh of relief come the final corner when you saw all the chaos behind. No one had a run on you, and that confirmed you as victor. How did you feel?
Again, like last week, sweating profusely. It's been a tough race, but yeah, I was waiting for Michael to make a move, and I knew I was going to be a sitting duck on the front straightaway, but it seemed like Steven got a little impatient there on the last turn, and that kind of sealed the deal for me. And wow, honestly, signing up for this series, I didn't see us getting a win. I was hoping for mostly top tens, and then last week at Coda surprised me, and then this week it was amazing, honestly.
Celine, it's TLP here, man. Fantastic job. Road America, man, it feels like it raced just like it does in the real world. This thing got down to it in the very end, but honestly, the whole race long felt like it was edge of your seat kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely edge of my seat. I was just trying to stay pretty calm, and I think I did a good job with that. I didn't make any big mistakes, which in practice, in the 2-hour practice prior to this, I was not using the most PG language to myself, but I felt pretty good in the race, and kept it up front. I like to lead because at that point you can kind of stack the field up and have everyone behind you battle and give you a little bit of breathing room, and I think that worked out.
Well, Celine, fantastic job. Great race out there today. And I know we're getting close to the end with our MAV TV broadcast, but congratulations on the win here in round number 3.
Thanks, Tony. That was fun.
So that was our winner, Celine Roland. What a victory it was for him, and what a cracker of a race. He slots himself second in the championship behind Matt Cresci, and we're going to have more post-race interviews coming up after this for sure. We're going to say goodbye to our Canadian audience from the MAV TV Motorsports Network. You can join us further on our Facebook and social channels. And let's not forget our YouTube channels too on Apex Racing TV. So get on board, come in and enjoy our post-race show from myself, Mo Murray, Tony Laporta and Tom Long. We'll see you on the other side of this.
These days, the events we love will have to wait. Not forever, just for now. But as an essential service, we're open and ready to help. Especially healthcare heroes. We'll do an enhanced cleaning of your car inside and out. And change the oil for free, even if you don't drive a Mazda. It's the least we can do.
We've seen a lot over 150 years. That doesn't mean we've seen it all.
And back here from Road America, and it will be time to speak to our second place finisher in Michael Carter. Michael, we got you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, what a race for yourself, mate. And it promotes you into third in the championship for sure. That's unofficial, let me tell you that. So don't take my word for it. But a race at Road America, you needed a podium for it. You're $60 richer. Couldn't have gone any better, I guess. I guess only better was first place.
Yeah, you're right there. That was just a wild finish. Road America in these cars is kind of like a Talladega or Daytona. You just kind of ride around and wait for the last 10 minutes and go. There was some erratic driving there by a few drivers, and really it was just survival mode until we had that 4-car breakaway there at the end. But yeah, it was a great race.
Michael, this is Mo Murray. You've picked up this iRacing thing exactly where you left off in the real cars at the end of 2019, and we're looking forward to seeing you back in your Carter Motorsports new team to go racing in July. But I have to comment. We talked about it during the race. You and Celine, you just can't get far enough away from each other. You guys are right on each other's door handles all the time, whether it's in sim racing or the real cars.
Yeah, I texted him before the race, and I was like, if I get to your bumper, we'll just go. We'll just stay in line and go. And I ended up getting to his bumper there on the last lap, and really had to watch for Stephen Mackleyer behind me, and that was that.
Michael, Tom Long here. Great race, buddy. I feel like you were kind of a sleeper in the beginning, worked your way up to the front, and then we couldn't stop talking about you there at the end. Talk us through the last corner there. It was looked like a bit of a dive bomb there at the end, but you managed to steer clear and kind of do an over-under. Talk us through that.
Yeah, it was one of those things, I knew it could possibly come, and then I saw him flash in the corner of my eye. And then I basically just started braking in a straight line. It didn't turn in, did the thing, let him drive right by, and crossed him over, and that was that. Just watched him drive off into the grass by himself, and kind of laughed as I came to the finish line. So that was, it was a pretty exciting finish.
Yeah, well done. I think, points wise, it's looking pretty good for everybody that's consistently finishing these races. So well done.
Yeah, we got weeks to go. Some Mid-Ohio next week, and then I think Laguna to finish it up. That's going to be, I don't think you'll see this type of pack racing that you're seeing at Road America for sure. It'll be more of a driver's track. You might see a little bit more breakaways. But yeah, the next 2 weeks are going to be challenging. It's going to be tough. But we'll see how it ends up in the championship. So.
Thank you, Michael. And as we know, there are some prizes, cash prizes for winning these races, but there's a very significant cash prize for winning the championship: $1,500, $1,000 for second, and $500 for third. And so these points battles, as we go into these next 2 weeks, get very interesting. Do we have Harry Voigt, our third place finisher, with us? Harry? No. TLP, as this championship comes down to the last two races, who are you looking at?
Man, that's the $1,000,000 question, Mo. I think Cressy has shown a really good consistency, but boy, after what I saw today from Tyler Maxson, I think a little bit of bad luck catches him out. And boy, if he can have a clean race, I don't know where he sits in the points necessarily right now, but boy, I would be very surprised if we ended this year and Maxon doesn't at least have one win. But also Harry Voigt, I mean, he led for the first time today, and when he was up there, he knew exactly what to do and where to put the car. So I know that's not a one driver answer, but boy, I think there's a few dark horses who we haven't seen win yet, Voigt, Maxon, and I don't think you can count them out, to be honest with you.
And one guy who's not eligible for either points or the race or championship prizes is Tristan Nunez. Tristan had a tough race today, and hopefully we can grab him for a chat. Tristan, Harry Ticknell, and Ollie Jarvis signed up for this series on the understanding as Mazda factory drivers they wouldn't be eligible for points or prizes. Do we have Tristan in the room with us?
We won't have Tristan, but we're going to speak to Harry Voigt, who came home in third for today's event. So Harry Voigt is in here. Harry, we got you?
Yep.
And there is your Slipstream performance driver. Coming through the final corner, Harry, I have to ask, a chaotic finish. Were you happy with how the whole circumstance played out? Because ironically, you're the Slipstream performance team, but you weren't able to capitalize on the Slipstream there.
Yeah, when I was going in that last corner, I was not expecting that outcome. But, racing is racing. Things happen, and I think we all got a little excited. So some made a mistake, but I seemed to really thread the needle, especially earlier in the race as well in turn 5. That was really threading the needle through all those stop cars. But yeah.
Harry, Tony Laporta here, man. You did phenomenal. I don't know. I feel like it's a question we've been asking a lot of the drivers, but you have some decent experience in these MX-5 Cup cars. What's the biggest difference in pack racing? Not just driving the car, but at Road America, as Michael talked about, we have a lot of pack racing. What's one of the bigger differences? Is there any difference that you feel as the driver on a sim rig versus doing the real thing?
Absolutely. I think so, on the sim, it's definitely harder to get a perspective of how close you are or what's your proximity to the other driver. Going side by side through one, I always err on the caution, leave a little bit more room, but it's always hard to tell how close you really are, or following someone into a brake zone in turn 5. Where do I brake so I don't hit them? I just think it's hard to get that perspective on the sim as it is in real life.
Yeah, no doubt, absolutely. But I think, as we pointed out, you looked really good today when you got out in front, and you were dicing up with former series champions, rookies of the year, and if I'm not mistaken, last year was your first year competing with us. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think for you coming out and rolling around with these guys, I have to say, from my point of view, you looked really good. I can't speak for the other guys, but great job, man, and we appreciate you being a part of the series and for taking a few minutes to talk to us tonight.
Absolutely, no problem. Thank you.
All right, Harry, thanks so much, man. So that will do it for Harry Voigt. A good run for him, and then I know we're working on getting a few other guys. Johnny, I'm not sure. Do we have anybody else lined up to talk to?
We got Tristan Nunez right alongside us in the channel. Tristan, are you available? We know your microphone's muted. We know he's stuck around. He's got it working.
I am here. I'm here.
And he's alive, but Tristan, not the best race for you, mate. It was one to forget for sure. But hey, a bit of fun out there until the incident.
Hey, you know what? I will take that. It was, coming from where we were COTA last race to now, I found a couple seconds, it seems like. So, I think pace-wise, I'm in the dogfight, but yeah, I just got unlucky there. Trouble found me, but that's just racing, isn't it?
Tristan, this is Mo. I was going to say you have not raced an MX-5 Cup car before. Not a Cup car,
Correct.
but you have raced an MX-5, Lime Rock Park, many years ago. You raced in the old Conti series for Freedom Autosport. But what you are very familiar with is Road America. You've had a long track record of success here. How does the iRacing version of Road America compare with the real thing?
I got lucky that this race was actually the next race in the calendar for this series, because I just got, last week was the IMSA iRacing series, so I definitely had some laps around the Road America sim track, so definitely felt more comfortable coming into this than I was at COTA. So but yeah, compared to the real thing, iRacing does an amazing job on their track scanning. and it's just really impressive how close they can get the details. So, I mean, there's obviously you don't get the depth perception. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how to update my sim day by day to give me more feel, but it's just little things to work through as far as feel goes. But overall, it's crazy to see what the technology is like nowadays.
Tristan, my one quick question for you, this is PLP. I know we just talked last weekend, but what I'm always most concerned about when you're racing is not where you finish, not how you do, but most importantly, is your hair okay after that crash?
Honestly, I decided not to put a webcam up for this very reason, because I look like a mad scientist. I haven't cut my hair since probably January before the 24th, so I'm looking a little ragged. And especially after that race, I got some serious sweat going on, and yeah, the hair is looking pretty crazy. So we won't go to a webcam anytime soon.
All right. Well, Tristan, my man, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for talking to us, and hopefully we'll see you next week, okay?
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys. It's a blast.
Tony, just before we wrap, let's also talk to Harry Tinknell, one of our other Mazda prototype drivers. Harry's been doing a lot of sim racing in this downtime. Harry won the IMSA prototype race here at Road America last summer in an epic race with. There's Harry. How was this for you? I know it's 1 a.m. in the morning where you are. You're in London. How was this race for you?
Yeah, it was good fun. Not quite as successful as in real life here last year, but yeah, had a lot of fun out there. I think I was just heard the end of Tristan's interview and was saying I think it was a big step forward from Kota, a lot more on the pace, and we were sort of in that midfield dogfight and had some great running with Jackson and Stephen, and you can really feel the the spirit of the MX5 Championship, um, working together and the bump drafting to get up to the next group and everything like that. It was great fun out there, and it was nice to be more on the pace and in the fight. But we've got a lot of practice between now and next week to get up to the front runners, but we'll be practicing and doing our best.
And Harry, we talked during the week, and I'll let you go and get to bed after this. But you talked about the race last week being one of the most respectful and well run sim races you've been involved in. Was that the same this week, or did you find it a little more aggressive?
Do you know what? Yeah, like you said, I've done a lot of sim racing over the last 6-7 weeks while we've been waiting to get back to action, and yeah, I'm really enjoying the Global MX5 Esports Championship. Certainly, with the driver's briefing, the way the stewarding is working, live drive-throughs and communication with other drivers. It's for me, it's the best one that I've done. Really enjoyed it. I think today there was a couple of incidents. Which yeah, I didn't really see or try and get involved with too much, but I think you have to accept in esports and iRacing that there's gonna be a couple of incidents every now and again, and it's so easy to lock a brake and just and make yourself look like you've taken someone out really obviously when it's actually just a small mistake. So there's one of those things. And me and Brian sort of got together and damaged the car a little bit, so I had to pit for repair. But do you know what? Like it was really good fun out there, and looking forward to being back next week.
Well, we're looking forward to having you back next week, and more importantly, we're looking forward to having you back in a real car, hopefully in July. It looks like that'll happen, and get you back stateside, back into the Mazda prototype, and take up where you left off last year.
Absolutely, yeah. Really looking forward to being back over there with you guys in the States, and so I'd have to stay up to 3 in the morning, simming over here, and obviously, thanks to all the Mazda fans for sticking with us, and we'll be back putting on a good show as soon as we can. And just want to say, stay healthy to everyone and stay safe. And like I say, looking forward to being back in the RT24P as soon as is safely possible.
Thank you, Harry. Tom?
Hey Gresham, Tom Long here. Just wanted to tell you congratulations on a top 5 finish. Looked like a pretty exciting race from over here in the commentators booth. How'd it look like behind your Global MX5 Cup car?
Well, I'd say exciting is one way to describe it. Messy's probably another one. Um, but it was a good race at the end. Throughout the race, I'd say it was pretty hectic. I never really knew what was going to happen lap to lap. My race started off a little bit messy, so the middle part was just recovering, and some of the guys in front of me had problems, and me and Freshy managed to get back up to the front. And then those last couple laps, with him being in the points lead, I think he was just playing it a little bit safe there. Didn't want to get caught up in something, so I just rode behind him, and nothing really happened with the leaders aside from I think Steven got punched off in the last corner. But me and Matt just kind of rode home in fourth and fifth and had a clean end of the race, which I think we were both happy to do after the chaos that happened in the previous 40 minutes.
Yeah, certainly. It's looking like, and as we know in a championship, you need to have the consistency. So putting in the results and just staying clean to the finish. Looking forward to Mid Ohio, it's going to be a different feel. I mean, it's a lot of single car, single lane driving there. Maybe can even find a breakaway. If you get going pretty good. What are your thoughts going into the next round?
I'm personally looking forward to it. I think it's a great track. I think the racing, it's a little bit more toned down, and it might not be quite as exciting to watch, but I think it rewards your true pace a little bit better, let's say, without all the draft on the straights. So I think qualifying is going to be more important, and just running a really clean race and keeping your pace throughout the race is really going to be rewarded with a good finish, which, not to say you didn't have to run a good race here, but there is a little more of a lottery with all the draft and everything. So I'm definitely looking forward to a little bit of a calmer race. And, it's a fun track, and can't wait to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Gresham. We'll look forward to seeing you out there next week.
Yep. Thank you.
And so we head over to Lexington, Ohio, and Mid Ohio, the sports car course, for the final round next week. For the penultimate round, I should say, next week of our MX5 Cup Championship. And Tom Long, we just heard Gresham Wagner describing how he thinks the race will play out and the qualifying sessions will play out. It's a very draft-heavy first sector, but the second and the final sector really bunches up and it really tightens up. It's more like an undulating roller coaster. And Tom, the circuit resembles Barber Motorsports Park very well. So we could see a very similar pecking order to what we had in round number one.
You're exactly right, Johnny. I always think of Mid Ohio as I'm driving on a golfing green. It's up and down, left and right, all around. It's a lot of fun, very challenging visually as a driver. Hard to make passes except in that first sector you mentioned. So I think we're going to see a very different format and style of racing as we go to Mid Ohio next week.
And the virtual action will return in that next week. It'll be 40 minutes of racing action on the 26th of May around the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, as we saw. What a brilliant circuit that will be to host the penultimate round, number 4 of the Battery Tender Global Mazda MX-5 Cup eSeries, presented by BF Goodrich and Rick Motec Simulation Racing Systems. Thanks, of course, to our production team at Apex Racing TV. And we've also said goodbye to our MAV TV audience from Canada. But if you joined us for post-race coverage, great to have you on board, along with everybody else who makes this broadcast what it is. But from myself, Jonathan Simon, we will say bye-bye. Mo Murray from Mazda Motorsports joined me, along with Tony Laporta and Tom Long. And we will join you in a week's time, too, around Mid-Ohio. What a race it was today. What a cracker. What a thriller from Road America. Celine Roland the victor, but it's Matt Cresci who extends that championship advantage.
These days, the events we love will have to wait. Not forever, just for now. But as an essential service, we're open and ready to help. Especially healthcare heroes. We'll do an enhanced cleaning of your car inside and out. And change the oil for free, even if you don't drive a Mazda. It's the least we can do.
seen a lot over 150 years. That doesn't mean we've seen it all.